It's Tuesday. Welcome to Snarly Illustration. Going back once again to some of my favorite poetry, the sketch practice today is inspired by a poem called How Paddy Stole the Rope. The author of this is unknown, however, it is said to have been written as early as 1901. There have been songs produced with these lines by various artists over the years, which the internet has recently unveiled to me. However, I first learned of this story in the 4th grade. My 4th grade teacher, Mr. Rees, was a poet, and he taught his classes with the use of poetry. He encouraged and rewarded his students for both writing and memorizing poems, and I still feel a sense of pride for memorizing over 30 poems that year. The poem, How Paddy Stole the Rope, was one of the longer poems that I memorized, and I even got a chance to perform it in a poetry showcase our class put on for our families. I can't recite it by memory anymore, but I'm happy I could dig up the words online. Here is my older self reciting the poem.
There once was 2 Irish labouring men, to England they came over. They tramped about in search of work from Liverpool to Dover. Says Pat to Mick, I'm tired of this, we're both left in a lurch. And if we don't get work bedad, I'll go and rob a church. What, rob a church, says Mick to Pat. How dare you be so vile? There's something sure to happen as you're treading down the aisle. But if you go, I'll go with you. We'll get out safe, I hope. So if you listen, I'll tell you here how Paddy stole the rope. So off they went with theft intent, the place they wanted finding. They broke into a country church which nobody was minding. They scraped together all they could and then prepared to slope. When Paddy cries out, "Out on Mick, what shall we use for rope? We got no bag to hold this swag, and ere we get outside, with something stout and strong, me lad, the bandle must be tied." Just then he spies the old church bell, and quick as an antelope, he scrambled up the belfry high to try and steal the rope. Now when Paddy up the belfry got, "Aha, bedad, but stop, to get a piece of that's long enough, I must climb up to the top." So like a sailor up he went, and near the top says he, "I think the piece that's underneath quite long enough will be." So holding by one arm and leg, he drew his clasp knife out, and right above his big fat head, he cut the rope so stout. He quite forgot it held him up, and by the holy Pope, down to the bottom of the church fell Paddy and the rope. "Come out of that," says Mick to Pat as he on the floor lay groaning. "If that's the way you cut a rope, no wonder why you're moaning. I'll show you how to cut a rope, so just lend me the knife." "Be very careful," cries out Pat, "or else you'll lose your life." He clambered up the other rope, and like an artful thief, instead of cutting it above, he cut it underneath. The piece fell down and left poor Mick alone up there to cope. Says he, "Bad luck until the day when we came stealing rope." Now with Paddy groaning on the floor and Mick hung up on high, says Pat, "Come down, I can't," cried Mick, "for if I do, I die." The noise soon brought the beadle round, the sexton and police, and although they set poor Mickey free, they gave him no release. They marched them to the county jail, where their conduct nae la rue. And if they got no work before, they've plenty now to do. And for their ingenuity, they've now have larger scope than when they broke into a church to try and steal a rope.
Thanks for joining me, and remember these 3 things as you practice your craft: curiosity, courage, creativity. Happy drawing.